the name Captain Kidd echoes through history. He is a legendary figure, often depicted as a ruthless pirate with buried treasure. His image adorns books, movies, and even bottles of rum. But how much of what we know is true? Was Captain Kidd truly a fearsome pirate, or is there more to his story? The late 17th century marked a time of high seas adventure and lawlessness. It was the Golden Age of Piracy, an era when pirates roamed the Caribbean and Indian Oceans, plundering ships laden with valuable cargo. These were not the romanticized pirates of fiction. They were ruthless criminals, driven by greed and a thirst for power. Yet, amidst this chaos, there existed a legitimate form of seafaring warfare: privateering. Privateers were essentially legal pirates, sanctioned by governments to attack enemy ships and plunder their riches. William Kidd began his career as a privateer, a respected captain hired to protect English interests on the high seas. He was tasked with hunting down pirates and seizing their ill-gotten gains. His mission was to safeguard trade routes and weaken England's enemies. But somewhere along the way, Kidd's story takes a dark turn. He was accused of piracy, of turning against his own country and preying on innocent merchant vessels. The question that has haunted historians for centuries is this: was William Kidd truly a pirate, or was he a victim of circumstance, a man falsely accused and unjustly condemned? The life of Captain Kidd offers a glimpse into a tumultuous period in history. It was a time when the lure of wealth and power could corrupt even the most honorable of men. Kidd's story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that the line between hero and villain can be perilously thin. Join us as we unravel the enigma of Captain Kidd, exploring the events that led to his downfall and his enduring legacy as one of history's most infamous figures. William Kidd, the man who would become the infamous Captain Kidd, was born in Greenock, Scotland, in 1645. His early life was modest, details are shrouded in the mists of time, but we know he gravitated towards the sea. The sea was in his blood, a vast and beckoning world full of possibilities. Young William learned the ropes on merchant vessels, sailing between England and the New World. He honed his seamanship skills, weathering storms and navigating treacherous waters. Life at sea was harsh, but it fostered resilience and a taste for adventure. With each voyage, Kidd gained experience, rising through the ranks. He learned the intricacies of navigation, cargo handling, and the art of command. By the 1680s, Kidd had made his way to the bustling port of New York, a melting pot of cultures and ambitions. He found a home in this burgeoning colony, marrying a wealthy widow and establishing himself as a respected member of society. Kidd's reputation as a skilled mariner preceded him. He was known for his seamanship and his ability to command a crew. He purchased a home and invested in merchant ventures. Kidd seemed destined for a prosperous life as a colonial gentleman. But fate, as it often does, had other plans for the ambitious sailor. The allure of the sea and the whispers of fortune continued to call to him. The late 17th century was a time of great political upheaval and maritime conflict. England, locked in a power struggle with France, relied heavily on privateers to bolster its naval power. Privateering offered a path to wealth and glory, but it was a dangerous and morally ambiguous profession. In 1696, William Kidd was approached with an intriguing proposition. King William III of England, eager to combat piracy and undermine French interests, issued Kidd a privateer's commission. This official document authorized Kidd to hunt down enemy ships and seize their cargoes in the name of the crown. Armed with the king's commission and commanding a powerful ship, the Adventure, Kidd set sail from London in 1696. His mission was clear: to suppress piracy, protect English shipping, and capture valuable prizes. The voyage was fraught with risk, but it also promised immense rewards. Kidd's crew was a mix of seasoned sailors and eager adventurers, all drawn by the promise of fortune and the thrill of the hunt. They were about to embark on a journey that would test their loyalty, their courage, and their very souls. The line between duty and greed was about to become dangerously blurred. Ahead lay the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean, a haven for pirates and a graveyard for the unwary. Captain Kidd's early voyages were fraught with difficulty. The adventure, despite its impressive size and armament, faced numerous setbacks. Storms battered the ship, slowing its progress and damaging its rigging. Supplies dwindled, and disease spread through the cramped quarters below deck. Morale among the crew plummeted. The elusive pirates Kidd sought seemed to vanish into thin air. Weeks turned into months, and still, the adventure sailed without capturing any significant prizes. The pressure to succeed, to fulfill his mission and bring home riches, weighed heavily on Kidd. The frustration mounted, and desperation began to creep into the minds of the captain and his crew. In January 1698, after months of fruitless searching, Kidd encountered a large merchant ship off the coast of India. The ship, the Quedah merchant, was laden with valuable silks, spices, and gold. Kidd ordered his crew to approach and prepare to board. But there was a problem. The Quedah merchant flew French colors, but Kidd's commission only authorized him to attack hostile ships, and France was not, at that moment, an enemy of England. Kidd, torn between his duty and the allure of such a rich prize, faced a fateful decision. He argued that the French passes carried by the Quedah merchant were forgeries, a common tactic used by pirates to disguise their true allegiance. He convinced himself and his increasingly restless crew that the capture was justified. The die was cast. The seizure of the Quedah merchant sent shockwaves across the Indian Ocean. News of the attack, fueled by conflicting accounts and rumors, reached England, where it ignited a firestorm of controversy. Kidd's enemies, and he had many, seized upon the incident as proof of his supposed descent into piracy. Word spread that Kidd had turned pirate, preying on innocent merchants for his own personal gain. The story became a scandal in the English court, where political rivals used it to discredit Kidd's patrons, who had staked their reputations on his success. Kidd, unaware of the maelstrom brewing back home, continued his voyage, unaware that he had become the most wanted man in the world. In the aftermath of the Quedah merchant incident, Kidd sailed for Madagascar, a notorious pirate haven. He hoped to find repairs for his ship and perhaps offload some of his controversial cargo, but his reputation had preceded him. He was no longer a respected privateer, but a suspected pirate with a price on his head. While anchored off the coast of Madagascar, Kidd learned that he had been declared a pirate by the English government. A bounty, a king's ransom, was offered for his capture, dead or alive. His world crumbled around him. He was now a hunted man, betrayed by the very government he had sworn to serve. The crew, sensing the shifting tides, began to desert, fearing imprisonment or worse. Isolated and increasingly desperate, Kidd made a series of fateful decisions. He abandoned the dilapidated adventure, transferring its most valuable treasures to a smaller vessel, the Quedah merchant, ironically, the very ship that had sealed his fate. He set sail for New York, hoping to clear his name and negotiate a pardon. It was a long shot, a desperate gamble against overwhelming odds. He underestimated the political storm that awaited him. The authorities were closing in, and the legend of Captain Kidd, the notorious pirate, was about to take a tragic turn. The year was 1699. News traveled fast, even across vast oceans, carried on the salt-laced winds of rumor and speculation. By the time William Kidd, once a respected privateer, sailed into the harbor of New York City, his name was already tarnished, his reputation in ruins. He was no longer the hero he'd set out to be, not in the eyes of the world, and certainly not in the eyes of the English crown. He had sailed his remaining ship, the ironically named Quedah merchant, filled with what remained of his questionable treasures, back across the treacherous Atlantic. Each nautical mile brought him closer to a confrontation he could not win, a reckoning he could not avoid. His hope, however naive in retrospect, was to surrender himself, his remaining treasures, and plead his case to the new governor of New York, Lord Bellomont. Lord Bellomont, however, was not a man easily swayed by tales of misfortune or pleas of innocence. He was a pragmatist, a loyal servant of the crown, and the crown had already passed judgment on William Kidd. Kidd, upon his arrival, was promptly arrested. The treasures he had brought back, far from securing his freedom, were seen as further evidence of his guilt. The whispers of pirate that had followed him across the ocean now became a deafening roar. He was imprisoned, his fate uncertain, but the shadow of the gallows loomed large. The hero's welcome he may have once envisioned, the vindication he hoped for, was replaced with the cold, harsh reality of a prison cell and the bitter taste of betrayal. Kidd's fate was sealed not in the bustling port city of New York, but in a London courtroom, thousands of miles away. He was extradited back to England in chains, a captive paraded before a public eager for the spectacle of a pirate's trial. The accusations against him were numerous and damning: piracy, murder, treason against the crown. The trial was less about justice and more about politics. Kidd, a pawn in a larger game of power, was denied a fair hearing. Evidence was presented selectively, witnesses intimidated, and his defense hampered at every turn. The verdict, a foregone conclusion, was guilty on all counts. William Kidd, once a respected privateer sailing under the King's commission, was now branded a pirate, his name synonymous with treachery and greed. On May 23, 1701, a date forever etched in the annals of maritime history, a significant event unfolded that would be remembered for centuries. William Kidd, once a respected privateer, was led to the gallows at Execution Dock in London, his fate sealed by the hands of justice. A vast crowd, a sea of faces reflecting a mixture of morbid curiosity and grim satisfaction, had gathered to witness the final act of this infamous drama. The air was thick with anticipation and the murmurs of the onlookers. He was a broken man, his spirit crushed by the weight of accusations, the relentless pressure of his impending doom evident in his eyes. His body weakened by months of imprisonment, the once formidable Captain Kidd was now a shadow of his former self, his strength sapped by the harsh conditions of his confinement. As the noose was tightened around his neck, one can only imagine the thoughts racing through his mind. Regret for choices made, anger at betrayals suffered, and perhaps a longing for the days when he sailed the seas freely. Perhaps a flicker of defiance against the injustice of it all remained. A final stand against the fate that had been thrust upon him. His story, however, did not end at the gallows. The echoes of his life and deeds continued to resonate long after his death. The legend of Captain Kidd, the notorious pirate who may not have been a pirate after all, continued to live on, growing with each retelling. The tales of his adventures and misadventures became a part of maritime lore, a story that sailors would recount on long voyages. A cautionary tale whispered on the high seas, a story that served as a warning to those who dared to challenge the unpredictable nature of the ocean and the law. A reminder of the fickle nature of fate, the ever-changing tides that could lift a man to glory or drag him to his doom, and the fine line that separates heroes from villains, a line that Captain Kidd walked until his very last breath. The shadow of the gallows should have marked the end of William Kidd's story, a tale that seemed destined to fade into obscurity. His execution, a public spectacle designed to serve as a warning to would-be pirates and a reassurance to England's trading partners, should have relegated him to a mere footnote in the annals of maritime history, a cautionary tale of piracy and justice. But the legend of Captain Kidd, unlike his mortal remains, refused to be laid to rest. His name became synonymous with the Golden Age of Piracy, a symbol of the enigmatic and treacherous seas. Instead, his story took on a life of its own, fueled by whispers of hidden treasures and the enduring human fascination with tales of adventure, betrayal, and the allure of the open sea. Stories of his buried gold and lost maps captivated imaginations for generations. The very ambiguity of his life, the questions that lingered long after the hangman's noose had fallen, ensured that Captain Kidd would not be forgotten. His legacy became a puzzle, a mystery that historians and treasure hunters alike sought to unravel. Was he a ruthless pirate, a predator of the high seas, or was he, as he claimed to his last breath, a victim of circumstance, a loyal privateer betrayed by the very forces he had sworn to serve? The truth perhaps lies somewhere in between, lost to the waves of time. The legend of Captain Kidd is inextricably intertwined with the enduring myth of buried pirate treasure. Stories, many apocryphal, spread like wildfire after his execution, tales of chests overflowing with gold coins, precious gems, and priceless artifacts hidden away on remote islands buried beneath the shifting sands of time. These stories, passed down through generations, fueled countless expeditions, each one a desperate gamble, a quest for fortune driven by the tantalizing possibility that Captain Kidd's treasure might be real. The treasure, if it ever existed, has yet to be found, but that has done little to diminish the allure of the search. The thrill of the hunt, the tantalizing possibility of discovering lost riches, continues to capture the imagination, proving that some legends, like buried treasure, never truly die. The story of Captain Kidd continues to fascinate us, centuries after his death. His tale is one that has transcended time, capturing the imaginations of people from all walks of life. He has been the subject of countless books, plays, poems, and films, each offering a different interpretation of his life and motivations. These creative works have kept his legend alive, allowing each generation to discover him anew. He is a figure who straddles the line between history and myth, a cautionary tale and a romantic hero all rolled into one enigmatic persona. His duality makes him a compelling character, one who can be seen as both villain and victim. Perhaps it is the inherent drama of his story, the rise and fall of a man who dared to chase fortune and glory on the high seas, that continues to resonate. His adventures and misadventures are the stuff of legend, filled with daring exploits and tragic downfalls. Or maybe it is the enduring mystery surrounding his life, the unanswered questions about his true nature, and the fate of his supposed treasures, that keep us captivated. The allure of hidden treasure and the unknown adds an extra layer of intrigue to his story. Whatever the reason, Captain Kidd remains a fixture in our collective consciousness, a reminder of the enduring power of stories, especially those that blur the lines between fact and fiction, leaving us to ponder the mysteries of the past. His legacy is a testament to the human fascination with adventure, mystery, and the complexities of the human spirit. The life and legend of Captain Kidd serve as a stark reminder of the timeless themes that shape the human experience. His story is a cautionary tale about the perils of ambition, the seductive power of greed, and the unforgiving nature of the sea. Kidd's journey, from respected privateer to condemned pirate, highlights the fragility of reputation, the precarious balance between loyalty and betrayal, and the often devastating consequences of choices made in the pursuit of wealth and power. His story is a reminder that the line between hero and villain, between legality and criminality, can be blurred, subject to the vagaries of fate, the shifting sands of political expediency, and the often subjective interpretations of history. The legend of Captain Kidd, a tale as vast and unpredictable as the ocean itself, continues to challenge us to confront the complexities of human nature, the allure of the unknown, and the enduring power of stories to transcend time and tide.